I help service-based businesses, usually professional services, be able to get paid their true worth consistently and unapologetically by uncovering and eliminating behaviours that cause them a financial loss and stress. I was clueless at charging, embarrassed having fee conversations with clients, and really not in a position to charge properly myself. They are really good at what they do, very conscientious, perfectionistic, people-pleasing, but it doesn't mean to say they feel brilliant.
And you think that's why they might undervalue themselves in terms of charging? Yeah,
absolutely. They don't understand their value. It's an emotional reaction that's based on a fear of rejection, a fear of losing the client. Employment lawyer 40 years, part-time judge of 20 years. When I met him, he hadn't put his fees up for 10 years. 10 years. You need to focus on your value. Don't suffer in silence, because one of the things I know I hear a lot is, oh, I thought I was the only one. You're not. There's lots of people who struggle with it, and they are really good people.
On today's episode, we have Vanessa Ugatti, and we talk everything about getting paid your true worth. So if you ever feel like you're either over-servicing clients or not getting paid enough by your clients, then this episode is for you. My name's Oliver Erdley, and this is the Erdley Bird podcast. And as always, it's powered by Ad People. Hello, Vanessa. First of all, let's start with how are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's Friday, isn't it? So
yes,
got a weekend
and the sun's
coming
out.
Up. The sun is supposed to be coming out.
Oh, right. Well, it's here in Manchester for once, so something's going all right. So where I'd like to start, Vanessa, is I'd like to, just for the purpose of people listening to this, could you explain what you do?
I can, and I will. So I help service-based businesses, usually professional services, be able to get paid their true worth consistently and unapologetically by uncovering and eliminating behaviours that cause them a financial loss and stress. That's very succinctly put.
Perfect. It sounds like you've practiced that.
Well, I've said it a lot of times, so yeah, I guess it is a practice, isn't it?
So where I'd like to start as well is really, how did you get into it as well? Because it seems like, you know, it's not an everyday thing. I've not spoken to loads of people that do this. So how did you get into doing this?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Oliver. It's not something where you wake up one morning and say, well, I think I'm going to help professional people get paid their true worth. I mean, nobody would think that, would they? So the fact is that I was already helping professional services people around mindset and confidence, but I had a niggle in the back of my mind saying something was missing, but I didn't actually know what it was. So I was on the computer one day looking for inspiration. This is about 13 years ago now. And I found it. I stumbled across a marketing program for coaches, and they said you should have a niche. You've got to have a niche to build a tribe. So I thought, well, I've heard about this niching thing, but I have no idea what mine is or indeed how to create it. But I decided after lots of procrastination to sign up on the program. And in the first workshop, they asked us some questions about our interests, from our least interest to our greatest interest. And much to my surprise, on the piece of paper appeared the subject of valuing yourself or charging your worth. And I had no idea where that had come from. And so that was the start of it. And I went out networking to ask questions because I didn't know anything about the subject, not consciously anyway, shall I say. And I discovered really, really quickly that underestimating, discounting and over-servicing are really commonplace problems amongst professionals, even highly experienced professionals who are good at what they do. So that was really my first bit of evidence, Oliver, that I was on the right track. But it was a bit like being in a car at night time and all you can see is a little bit in front with the headlights. That's what it was like. So I was discovering things as I was going along. So then I looked at clients I'd been working with and discovered I'd already been helping some of them with charging. But again, it wasn't conscious. But if you think about it, because I was helping them with mindset and confidence, charging is almost bound to fall into that category of things that people are challenged with. And then the third part of it was that I decided to shine the spotlight on numero uno. And guess what I found? Well, I was clueless at charging.
Yeah.
embarrassed having fee conversations with clients, and really not in a position to charge properly myself. So that was like a wake-up call. It was a moment when I realized, oh, I understand now why my subconscious mind had been prompting me that there was something else, because it knew I needed to solve this problem for myself. And then, of
Sure.
course, that makes me the best person to help other people solve that problem. And then there's a
Yeah.
final bit to that story, really. And that is, you know, when you're in bed and you're half awake and half asleep and it feels quite drowsy. So that was happening one night or one morning, early morning, and a formula appeared in my mind. And that formula was UV plus CV plus CD equals CW, which means understand your value plus communicate your value plus confident delivering fees equals charging what you're worth. And the impressive thing was I knew what it meant and I knew it was right even though I didn't know how. And so I was on the program, and so from there I wrote my little Amazon bestseller, How to Charge What You're Worth and Get It. And then as time went on and I was working with more and more people, I discovered there were some other elements that were important to that whole sales process, not least of which was getting paid. Because I was discovering there were some people who were doing work, not getting it billed, but not getting paid for it, and then not
Right.
chasing it up or following it up. So I changed the name of the book to How to Get Paid Your True Worth. And then I developed the True Worth methodology from that title, True Worth, because everybody will resonate with true worth. They know if they're undercharging or undervaluing themselves. So that's
Yeah.
really a short story of how it all came about, if that makes sense.
What I love about that is a lot of the best businesses or the people that I've spoke to over the years have kind of derived from a problem that they have, and they've solved it themselves, and then they've built out a system to do it for other people. So I love that that's how it's sort of come about for you.
Yeah, so it's really natural because it's not something I've learnt from a book. So I've learnt from my own journey and obviously from helping other people. And then it just builds and builds and builds from that. And I think there's an expression that says your mess becomes your message, which is
Yeah.
quite a nice one nice way of paraphrasing it, really.
So why do you think it's such a struggle for professionals to charge what they're worth?
Because, well, I've identified certain characteristics that people who struggle with this have, and it's paradoxical. And of course, they're also the same characteristics that I've had myself. So they are really good at what they do, very conscientious, perfectionistic, people-pleasing, highly self-critical, sensitive, control freaks. And when I have meetings with people, and I think this is quite common actually, and when I have meetings with people, especially people where it's going to be one-to-one coaching, I always bring up these characteristics and fairly early on, and inevitably people say, yep, 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 yep. So there's that connection that's there straight away because they realize that, so they have a level of awareness. And so, you know, what we have to realize is that somebody can be really brilliant at what they do, but it doesn't mean to say they feel brilliant.
Okay. And you think that's why they might undervalue themselves in
Absolutely.
terms of charging? Yeah.
Absolutely. They
Okay.
don't understand their value, just as I didn't. And they don't feel confident talking about fees. They feel uncomfortable with that. And I think that's common as well, because many of us would have been brought up with beliefs about money that were quite negative, including it's not nice or people are not nice who've got money, when in reality that's not true. That's just a story that we've been told. And so
Sure.
there's a whole bunch of things that go on in people's minds that cause them to undervalue themselves. And so it's really, really important. We have to look at what's going on internally. You can't just put processes in place and expect people to change.
Do you think the reason why people are nervous talking about money is from their upbringing, from what people have told them, or is there more to it than that?
So there's part of it will be that, but part of it's also how they think and feel about themselves, as I just said, because self-worth is at the heart of everything we do and it drives our behaviour. So if we don't have 100% confidence or self-worth, then we are devaluing ourselves. Plus the fact that actually our value is subconscious. We're not consciously thinking all day long about what we can do. So
Yeah.
somebody can be brilliant at what they do, but they don't see it because it's subconscious. And the longer they've been doing it, the easier it becomes. So it gets devalued.
Do you think it's hard for people to see what they're good at? Sometimes it's quite hard to look inside, right? In terms of what you perceive, what am I actually good at doing, right? And other people are like, no, you're great at that. What are you talking about? Do you find that sort of happens a lot with your clients and the people you speak to?
Yeah, yes, Oliver, because I think there's two aspects to it. There's first of all the fact that people don't see their own value. That I've probably repeated now 3 times, but that's fine because it's getting the message across. But also they are hard on themselves, so they won't see it from that perspective either. Or, I mean, I know from my own journey, I noticed over the years that before I could do something, it would seem really difficult. But once I'd achieved it, I'd go, oh, so what?
Yeah.
So I think people don't give themselves the credit for what they've achieved. They don't see it, and they don't give themselves credit for it either. So
Yeah.
it's quite deep because, we are complicated. Human beings are complicated. And so that none of that is of a surprise to me at all.
One thing I want to talk to you about is discounting and the sort of psychology behind discounting. What do you think happens when you discount and actually just drop your price for a client? What do you think happens in that situation?
What's happening in the person, do you mean?
Yeah, I'd say from both sides, actually, it would be interesting.
Right. So from the side of the provider, service provider, first of all, it's probably a habit based on a belief that everything is about price. And also, but it's an emotional reaction. So it isn't, we can't say it's logic. It's not logical. It's an emotional reaction that's based on a fear of rejection, a fear of losing the client. If they're employed, it could be a fear of not meeting targets and losing the client, losing their job. And the monkey mind is really good at creating fear and catastrophizing things. So in the mind of the person, they think, well, if I reduce the fee, then I'll get the business. But it's not thought out. It really is a knee-jerk reaction. And I know wherever I go, whoever I'm working with, that is going on usually for people. And some people who are actually leading with a discount. So how does that affect the client? So I think that it's a negative thing to do because the client then will be starting to wonder whether this person is actually very good at what they do or not.
Yeah.
And so, that is not really what you want people to be thinking, is it? And if somebody discounts and they have a repeat client, they're always going to be doing it. So it just becomes more and more challenging to change that behaviour on their own, I would add, because I can help people change their behaviours. And it's much easier for me to help them do it than for them to do it themselves. So does that answer the question, do you think?
Yeah, no, it does. It does. I agree with you. I think from a consumer perspective, if you're speaking to someone and they just straight away drop the price, you're probably questioning how good they are, right? It's just like, especially people that lead with a discount. That I've seen that before with along sales teams. It's like, right, I think after our conversation, I'll just give you a discount. You're like, okay. It doesn't give the right it doesn't give the right impression on what the level of service is going to be like. And you're absolutely right. It's one of those things. If you've been offered a discount before, you're just going to keep asking for it every time you come back. Yeah. So it's not great from a futuristic business perspective as well.
Not at all.
On the flip side as well, how do you feel like with these types of people, these sort of professionals, they tend to over deliver as well on the flip side, so underprice and over deliver. So I wonder if you could talk me through that.
Well, it's all coming from the same place, whether it's underestimating, undercharging, discounting, over servicing. It all comes from this same emotional reaction. because they're thinking, oh, if I just keep the client happy and I just do this bit more, I just do this bit more. So it's coming from a place of fear always, which is not the right place to be delivering your service from. Because if you're feeling fearful, what does that say to the client? Again, the client will pick that up. Clients are more likely to push back on your fees if you show weakness to them. Now, I don't mean that you have to go around being really bullish and hard and horrible to clients. You don't. It's just being certain in yourself of the value you're providing and then happy with your charges. And if clients don't want to accept that, then you find clients who do. But yeah, so the overservicing is exactly the same problem, exactly the same root cause, shall we say.
Sure. No, that makes perfect sense. So if I was to work with you then, Vanessa, what would be the process you'd take me through or any client through?
So first of all, I would have a discovery meeting with you and I'd pull out what's going on, where your weak spots are. So we had a clear picture of what was going on and probably what it was costing you, because I want to make sure you understand continuing doing what you're doing, what it's going to cost. Because when I help people change their behaviours, of course, it positively impacts on their revenue from there on in, because we're getting behavioural change. So then I want to find out before I even have that discovery meeting, whether you are a good prospect for me. So I send a discovery meeting form that you complete, which is really simple, but gives me lots of information. We have an in-depth meeting. And to be honest with you, it can be a good hour. Sometimes it will go on longer because I'm not mean with those meetings, because I really want to check that the person's in the right place to be doing this and that I can get great results with them. Because I'm not interested in taking people on if I don't feel that we're a good fit or I can get results with them. They need to be open-minded, they need to be sharing well, and they need to be coachable, because that's really important. And we need to like each other, frankly, because this kind of work is quite personal. So you want to be in a position where both of us feel really comfortable with each other, and then I'm sure pretty quickly whether I can help somebody or not. It doesn't take me long, but I want to make sure the person themselves is catching up to it. So once they decide they want to go ahead, for most people, it would probably be a 6-month process. I will send them a business questionnaire, which takes about 2 hours for them to complete, where they can dump everything in there. And it's looking at where they're at in their business, what their challenges are, including the way they think, because I want to understand more about them. And we go from there. Then we'll set up the coaching sessions. Coaching sessions are very practical, so we're looking at what's going on with them. I call them bespoke because it's about that person. It's not just we'll do this in this order. It's more about where that person's at, because some people might be further ahead than others. And the sessions are usually an hour and a half, about every 2 weeks, and spread over the 6-month period. And I also get them to fill in a client focus form after each session, which focuses on their new actions, what are their wins, challenges and insights, because that acts as a record for people moving on, a journal if you like. And it's moving them out of their out of their subconscious mind into their conscious mind, where they can make much more rational decisions. And during all of that time, I'm building their confidence. I'm inspiring them and motivating. It's not about beating people up and making them feel bad. It's completely the opposite. It's about getting them to see how great they are. Because when they get that shift into, oh my God, I understand my value, everything shifts for them, because they can start charging more and their clients actually value them more. So as I said, it's all a paradox. It's paradoxical. So I have to find out and make sure in my own heart and mind that they are really good at what they do and they're providing a great service for their clients. And so they deserve to be paid what they're worth, because that's what's really important from my values perspective.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And does anybody ever regress after they've worked with you? Obviously, it's when they've got your every 2 weeks meeting, you can stay on track and stay on top of it. Have you ever found anyone's regress afterwards? And so it's almost came a bit of a habit speaking to you and all the rest of it, but maybe regressed after leaving you and stopping working with you?
Well, there might be somebody I haven't spoken to in years, but
Mm,
because I'm quite careful in who I take on, I am finding
mm,
people are really making those shifts. There might be
yeah.
always more to go, but I don't think people tend to go backwards because
Hmm.
I'm shifting their thinking. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you can't forget a new way of thinking if it's
Hmm.
been embedded, over a period of time, if that
Mm,
makes sense. So when people start
yeah.
really realizing it's about focusing on their value and not on the prices, and they get more
Hmm.
comfortable with that. In fact, I just had a message exchange about a week ago with somebody I worked with quite a long time ago. I do stay in touch with him, and he was just saying,
Hmm.
"Oh, I just want to tell you, I've just had another meeting with somebody. It's the right sort of fit of client. I'm using my higher prices, and they've accepted, and there's no problem." So he did not understand his value at all when we
Mm,
met. He's a consultant solicitor, so a self-employed solicitor. He'd been a self-employed solicitor only for about 9 months, but then he was qualified for 10 years, so it wasn't like he
sure.
was unqualified or newly qualified. And he really didn't understand the value of what he did at all
Mm,
until we worked together. So major shifts. And no, I don't expect people to go backwards. They might
hmm.
find it, they might come across a challenge that perhaps they hadn't had before. But what
Mm,
they'll probably be able to do is step back and say, what I often get people here, I hear people saying is, what would Vanessa say?
hmm.
So that I know that I've won then when they do that, because, or that they've won actually, because they're stopping their own pattern and they're
Hmm.
realizing they need to stop the pattern and think, what should I be doing? Not what's my knee jerk reaction.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. So it'd be great to learn a bit more about the methodology. So the True Worth methodology. Could you talk us through? I know you've mentioned it briefly before, but could you talk us through that a little bit more?
Yes, yes. So my methodology is True Worth, as you said, and really the point of it is to create maximum value for your clients while creating maximum value for your business and while creating the finest life for yourself. So it's really about balance, making sure everybody is being looked after. But what I see
Hmm.
happening most often in people I work with is the focus is on doing the work for the client, if it's lawyers, legal work, at the expense of the business that comes second, whether they're employed or self-employed, and certainly at the expense of themselves, who comes third. And this is where you get the burnout and what have you. So the
Mm,
True Worth methodology is not just about the finances, it's also about well-being, because that's really
hmm.
important. And I think even more important these days, where people don't just want to be working like crazy and not looking after themselves. So the first T stands for take charge. If you don't run your business, your clients will. And that is, I see that as something that people are not doing very often. They're not taking charge of that, those fee discussions with clients, because they lack confidence. And so they're creating lots of problems for themselves. And they are
Hmm.
giving their power away in effect to the client. Whereas they're the expert, they're the ones who should be guiding the client, not the other way round.
Yeah.
So that is really fundamental, that I work with people on that aspect to make sure they really are in charge of that, not avoiding conversations, not having conversations too late, right up front having the right conversations and being confident having those conversations, because that's also they avoid complaints because of doing that. So I think most complaints come because they haven't communicated properly more than
Hmm.
anything else, rather than they haven't done the work very well. It's more about,
Sure.
you didn't tell me what it was going to cost or how long it was going to take or any of that stuff. So taking charge, and a lot of people don't do that, is really, really
Yeah.
important. So I'll just pick a couple of them others out. So understanding your value, which I've mentioned, and obviously the original formula was expanded into the True Worth methodology, and UV was the first one, understand your
Hmm.
value. And it is fundamental, because if we don't understand our own value, we can't possibly explain the value to our clients. And that's when
Hmm.
people are focused on pricing. And when they're focused on pricing, they lack confidence, because it doesn't actually
Hmm.
mean anything, because you don't know what the
Yeah.
value is, because you're not focusing on it. So I say from feeling fearful about your fees to feeling fantastic about you. That's what
Yeah.
understanding your value is all about. So it is a journey because people can't be expected to just go click, oh, yes, I understand my value. And as you know, I said earlier, it's unconscious. So I have to bring it out of people. So
Yeah.
the other one that I was going to say, which is to do with the well-being side, is time to treat yourself, billing your true worth, boosts your wealth and your health. So when people have more time because they've become more discerning on who they're taking on as clients and they're also charging properly, it does create a bit of time. And so they can choose to spend some more time with themselves, doing things they love, or with their family. And it does obviously boost their well-being and make them feel more healthy. So that's really, really important. And perhaps I could give an example of somebody that I worked with. And it was quite a long
Yeah.
time ago. Very extreme one, this one, because
Okay, great.
because often I do get people who are quite extreme, because people will not realize they've got a problem necessarily, or just wait until the pain gets really great before they do something about it. So this
Sure.
person is an employment lawyer. At the time I met him, I'm just going to have a drink of water because my throat is getting a
Yeah.
bit gravelly.
That's,
At the time I met him, he was 70, and he'd approached me. He'd seen me and he'd approached me. So I was a little bit taken aback that somebody of his age would approach me, but that was fine. He did. And I tried to push him away, but he insisted. So we worked together. Now, employment lawyer, 40 years, part-time judge of 20 years. So quite, very experienced
experienced guy.
person, very humble guy, had been running his own practice for 20 years, but been in firms as a partner before that. Now, when I met him, he hadn't put his fees up for 10 years. 10
Wow.
years. He had a good business. He was doing well. He had a lot of repeat clients. He would do the work and then bill them. He wouldn't really have fee conversations with clients at all. That's what was going on. So I worked with him. At the time, it wasn't True Worth. At the time, it was the formula. And he really took to it like a duck to water. He loved it. He started having fee conversations with clients. Obviously, we put his fees up to reflect the true value that he had with all his 40 years experience. But the other thing that he wanted to do the other thing he was planning on doing was continuing working as a part-time judge, because his belief was he needed to do that for his credibility. However,
Right.
which, after 20 years, he didn't actually need to do. So I
Sure.
got him from I'm definitely going to carry on to I'm not going to carry on, which of course freed up time because he wanted time to do other things in his life rather than just having to rush up to London to do that. It's not very well paid anyway, so he didn't need to do it. But he was going to continue doing it before I came along because of this monkey mind saying, oh yeah, you've got to do it. He also created boundaries because when we first met, he had no boundaries. So clients could contact him anytime, weekends, even when he was going on holiday. So we changed all of that as well. So he didn't lose clients. He didn't turn into a nasty person. He just turned into somebody who was in charge of his business and his life, providing a great service to his clients because he always would do, because he was that kind of person, but not at his own expense, not at this
Sure.
expense of the business and himself. So fantastic success. And he was definitely not going backwards on that one.
Yeah, I know. I'm surprised he still thought he needed to do the part-time judge
Yeah.
part of what he was doing when he's already done it for 20 years. He can still use that and say I was a part-time
Yeah.
judge for
But
20 years.
this is the reason I use this one a lot in talks and podcasts and things is because it's such a perfect example of how somebody so brilliant could not see that brilliance and assumed that they needed to carry on proving themselves when actually you don't need to, and having no boundaries, But that was just the habit of how he worked. He was intelligent enough to spot my stuff and realize that he could learn something and open enough to learning. And he was really, really good to work with, really easy to work with. And I use him again because of his age, because often people will make excuses. Oh, well, I can't change because I'm a certain age. And I think, well, I don't think I'm likely to get anybody much older than 70 wanting to work with me. And that was a huge success. So anybody younger than that, don't make that excuse.
Yeah.
You can always change. You can always change.
Amazing. So with your clients, do you find a lot of people would say to you, I don't think my clients would pay more, or I don't think they'll pay that much? Does that often happen?
Yeah, yeah,
It does.
yeah, yes.
And I've got a feeling that the key to this will be more about self-worth, but how would you approach that? If I said to you, look, my clients would never pay that much, what would you say?
How do you know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I'm thinking about somebody else I worked with. She wasn't a lawyer. She's not a lawyer. She's an ISO consultant. And I also keep in touch with her. And she had that one going on along with everything else. Another extreme case, she was at overwhelmed stage when I met her, working 6.5 days on client work. 6.5 days, her husband's screaming. She had a teenage daughter and a dog. You know, where's the life? I reckon she was heading for a nervous breakdown. And we uncovered she was underbilling by 25%, over-servicing, obviously, not putting prices up, the usual stuff, believing that some people wouldn't be able to tolerate an increased price. But we worked on everything, and actually they did. And clients valued her more after she'd put her prices up and done that work and recognised her own value than before, because she started getting emails. Even the other thing is letting go of clients that aren't the right clients. So she did let go of somebody she wanted to let go of, that she'd been wanting to let go of, not because they were bad people, but because they were 2 hours away, and she'd drive 2 hours, do a full day's work, and then drive back 2 hours. And she doesn't like driving, so it wasn't the right fit. But because of the people pleasing and the perfectionism thing going on, she was doing it. But probably about 2 months into the coaching, she let that client go. A client she'd been wanting to let go of for 2 years. 2 months, that was all it took. So it's you know, these extreme behaviours are very, very damaging to people, and they're unnecessary. She's also really good at what she does. She has all the characteristics I mentioned earlier going on, or she did have. So now she's in charge of her business. She changed how she operated. Prices went up. She didn't lose clients. She did let that one go, but they came back, but in a different format.
Sure.
See, so it's just all wins. And she's only working about 4.5 days a week, so she can go on holiday, spend time with her family. So it's, you know, it's not just helping people with their business, it's actually saving lives. It's saving lives
for sure.
sometimes. It really is.
If I was working 6.5 days a week as well, I'd be burnt out very, very quickly. So
Crazy,
that's amazing.
Crazy.
I think what I love about what you do is obviously improving the self-worth at the start is great, but I think as you start to charge more, it's only going to improve your self-worth even more. So it's almost like a bit of a cycle of improving your self-worth in your life. So I love that about what you do.
It's a mixture of the internal game and the external game, you know. So what's going on internally that we need to change, and then what do we need to change externally in terms of sometimes processes. She changed completely how she worked, because she decided to work more from home rather than doing so much in people's businesses. And one thing I noticed with her in the first session, I recognised it. She still had an employee mentality, even though she'd been running her business for 16 years.
Wow.
She did. But she changed a lot. She changed physically. She looked different. As her confidence was growing, she changed externally as well. You could see a difference in how she was coming across because of her confidence, I guess. So it's working on the internal stuff, what people are saying to themselves, how they feel about themselves, and digging out to find where that's coming from. There's always something. There's always something going on. And then working, as I say, on the processes and on the communication with their clients, and then making sure that they've got, they are reviewing their prices on a regular basis, that they are going up, and that they are looking at having the right clients. And if there are clients they need to let go of, be willing to do that. So it's a double whammy. It's internal and external.
Yeah. What I like about what you said there as well is it's not just the process of asking to, charging more. It can affect your whole business and your processes and how you run your business in general. Would you say that happens most of the time, or is that, does that happen maybe the odd time here and there? Or is it usually quite a fundamental change within the business?
Yeah, I mean, it depends, as I said at the beginning, where people are at. But for some people, there is going to be quite a big shift. Because if they are underestimating, discounting, overservicing, not putting their prices up, there's quite a lot of things that need shifting in that. And that does mean that you've got to change how you're operating and how you're doing it. So most people there will be. Some people may be less. But it's fine. Wherever they're at, it's no problem. We can get them there because I'm dealing with intelligent people. And actually, and I'm dealing with people who are already open and have recognized, oh my God, that's me. And so, we're starting from a good place. And even if they've got lots of stuff going on, I can still get them shifting into the right place.
No, that's great. So where I'd like to sort of end really is what would you want the viewers to take away from today? What would be your main message from this podcast?
So what would be my main message? You need to focus on your value. If you and also probably plugging myself, because if you don't understand your value and if you recognize yourself in the clients that I've mentioned today, then don't wait until the pain gets too great. Do something about it now, because there's no point in having to go through more pain than you need to. To me, it's a little bit like pulling a plaster off really slowly, if you rip it off and you get rid of it, then you can move more quickly. And I can assure you, I never take somebody on if I don't think I can help them. I'm not interested in squeezing people in or just getting people for the sake of it. I'm interested in doing some real good work with people so they come out of it going, wow, I'm so glad I did that. That's what I'm looking to achieve. So don't suffer in silence. Also realize, because one of the things I know I hear a lot is, oh, I thought I was the only one. You're not. There's lots of people who struggle with it, and they are really good people. So as I said at the beginning, the paradox is that those who struggle most with charging are usually incredibly good at what they do.
Yeah, it's the irony, right?
It's completely ironical, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the complexity of human beings.
So Vanessa, if people want to get in touch with you or follow you, how would they go about doing that?
So you can find me on LinkedIn, Vanessa Ugatti. There's only one Vanessa Ugatti, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. If you want to get in touch, then you can just drop me an email, vanessa@thetrueworthexpert.com, or send me a direct message through LinkedIn, because I will respond to that as well.
Perfect. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking to you, Vanessa. I really appreciate you spending the time with me.
It's been joyful, enjoyable. I love it. Thank you for the opportunity, Oliver. Brilliant.
Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you could do us a huge favour and like and subscribe. It allows us to get you more amazing guests, as well as share more practical tips on how you can grow your business online. If you are looking to grow your business online, then Ad People are here to help. They offer free, no obligation consultations that allows you to speak to more people who know what they're talking about. Simply email consult@adpeople.co.uk or see the link in the description. Other than that, I'll see you next time.